Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Ogre Fabworks, where we talk about fabrication equipment. Today I wanted to talk to you about drill presses. So this was actually one of my first drill presses when I first started off. It's an old Delta. They don't make them like this anymore. It looks pretty similar to something like you'd find in a Harbor Freight or a Lowe's Home Depot, but I would say it's a lot higher quality. But knowing what I know now, I actually would not start off with one of these drill presses. Granted, like I said, it's much better quality than what you're going to buy new today. There's a couple complicating factors that don't make this as useful as some other setups. First of all, the good things about a setup like this, they're built very well. I think this one's from like the 1950s. So there's quite a bit of travel, as you can see on these. Which is nice. You don't have to move your platform up and down as much. You can have depth sets. It's pretty easy to set up and run. The belts can be a little bit of a pain. You essentially change the belt on these different gear sets here for different speeds. I never really change it because it's such a pain, but the other issue is clamping to here. You would think they make this flat on the bottom, but it actually doesn't. There's quite a bit of ridges. Let me see if I can show you under here. So ridges like these, and it just makes it hard to grab a clamp, something like this, or these vice grips, and clamp a project down. It's just harder to do that. You would think that you'd be able to clamp things here, like a base plate or those vices. It's just a little bit harder, and I found it a bit inconvenient, especially when you just want to drill a couple holes pretty quickly. As you can see, I do still use this, but I don't think it's the best. So what is the best if I was going to start off today? And I would say what you want to do is go get yourself a mag drill, which is essentially a drill press with a magnetic base. So this is a Hogan. It's an HMD 904. It's probably my favorite magnetic drill press. I've used a good handful of them. The thing that I like about this, it is incredibly light. It's incredibly versatile, and you can run annular cutters, so things like these, or you can run twist bits with a standard chuck like that. So it's very versatile. I've got a set like this. Here's a Milwaukee setup. I really like these annular cutters. I wrote the sizes on here. The only thing I don't like about it is it goes from the 15/16 to the inch and a 16th, so it skips the 1 inch for some reason. I don't know why they did that. But something like this is very, very useful. The only thing that you have to do is build a stand for it to really optimize the utility of it. But they're pretty simple. It's just a piece of 1/2-inch plate is what I did here. Got a piece of square tubing and just some plate that I welded around, just enough to give it some slack. And then I put a bolt and a nut on the back. So when you tighten it, it squeezes this together and prevents it from moving. When you loosen it up, it opens up and allows the whole platform to slide up and down. The other nice thing about this is just some 1/2-inch plate steel. It's flat on the bottom, so it's very easy to clamp different things to it. I drilled some 5/8 holes, so my clamps that I use on the fixture table can also be used up here. Very easy to clamp. And then I just put some angle around the magnet base so that it didn't really want to move that much. So I really think that's probably the most useful setup right there, just because, a mag drill like this, when I bought this, I think it cost me about $800. They might be a little bit more now. But $800 is about what you're going to spend on a drill press regardless, and you're going to get something much cheaper in quality. The only difference or thing that you need to keep in mind is you have to build a press like this, or a press stand, drill press stand like that. But if you have a welder and you're somewhat capable, you just need an angle grinder and a welder, and you could build something like this in no time. That's the welder I actually started off with right there, an old Miller 211. Bought that used off Marketplace. But something like that is just, I find, way more utilitarian, way more useful than a big drill press. for the reasons I stated in terms of clamping, utility. You can also take something like this with you on a site if you ever got into, some mobile work, things like that. I also have this Milwaukee mag drill over here. This one's not as useful in terms of just being, way bigger, bulkier, heavier. It's not something, I think this one's about 80 pounds. That other mag drill over there is probably, 15. But, I do some bigger cuts with this. Here's the arbor with the annular cutter. So you can run, I think that's like 2 1/4, 2 1/8, something like that. You can run some really big, 1 3/4. So you can run some really big holes with these, which is nice. And I got a little bit of a different plate set up just so I could, clamp this stuff in a little bit of different orientations and things, a little bit of a bigger stand there so your material doesn't have a tendency to want to tilt back and forth. But anyway, yeah, I think mag drills on stands are way more useful than these types of drill presses. Not that they don't have their place, not that you couldn't get by with it, but you're going to spend upwards of $1,000 on one of these anyway. Why not buy something that's better and lighter and has a lot more utility? In my mind, I think it's the way to go. If you're really on a budget and really strapped for cash, they do sell cheaper versions of these. I think the cheapest decent quality one that I found was Vevor, Vevor. They make magnetic drill presses, around $150, $200. So you could, buy that, buy some of their annular cutters. I think their annular cutters are pretty cheap too. And, get some steel and build a stand like this, and you'd only be into it all for about $500, and you get something that's, so useful, has a lot more utility than a standard drill press. So anyway, that's definitely the way that I would go if I was starting again and wanted to share that information with anybody out there who might be starting and looking to maximize the return on their money. But feel free to leave any comments below if you feel like there's a better idea, a different drill press, or maybe a different mag drill I didn't mention. But yeah, I definitely think it's the way to go. And HMD 904 here is made in America. I do like supporting USA made brands when I can. But thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for the next one.